Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Guys, it is Professor Presbury back with another episode of Hey Professor, the show where we talk about all the things you wanted to know in allied health, health information management, and health informatics, right? Health administration, all that good stuff, yada, 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 et cetera, right? So again, I'm your Professor Javon M.H. Presbury. Today is going to be going over the concept of having a leadership mindset, right? Having the mindset of being a leader and what that really means and entails. So I'm going to go over a couple things, right? There are two types of thought process here, right? Because I've had people say to me, you know, a leader is only as good as their team. And in a way that can be true. You can have a really good leader with a really ineffective, rotten team. But then you flip it around and you can have a really ineffective team with a really good leader, you know what I mean? Or I don't know if I said it right, but just flip it and reverse it. You need a good team just like the team needs a good leader, okay? What that really means can really be up for debate, because what I found in my time as leadership is that a lot of staff sometimes don't really know what that means, right? Sometimes your staff gets a little confused, and I won't harp on this, right? Your staff sometimes is not organizationally minded, so they don't know what a good leader is. They just know what they want, and don't get that confused, right? Leadership is not what your staff wants. Leadership is mostly what your bosses want, you know, what upper management wants, and it's in a sense, it's a medium in between. Ideally, you want to be able to work with your staff well and to get along with them. You want to be a good stakeholder within the organization so that other leadership understands you and works well with you, and you want to get along with your bosses. So I would have to say, honestly, if I could break it down as percentages before I move on, I'm going to say 25% getting along with your staff, 50%, your bosses liking you, and 25%, you getting along with others within the organization. Because I'm going to be honest with you, if any of those pieces are out of whack, there is a very real concept that you may not be as effective as you like to be as a leader. I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen bosses, and this is going to be a two-part episode, because now I realized I got a lot to say about this. My Lord, I've done a lot of, bossing in my time, right? So, you got concepts where your leadership and your staff just does not get along with you. There's really a inability for them to understand any of the tasks that you set, which again, like I said, it's not a big deal all of the time. There are situations in which you're going to be working with others. Like I said, being a stakeholder in your organization, you're going to want other people to understand you. You're going to want to get along with other departments head. You're going to want to have a collaborative appearance. That's more important. And the reason I say that's more important is because even within the organization, I'm going to tell you the truth, nobody likes a jerk, right? There is a social component to management that a lot of people really don't think about. You have to be at least moderately social. If no one likes you, you're not going to do well. You're going to get pushback. And sometimes, because a lot of management is at will, you may find yourself, looking closer to the door. If you develop a combative attitude, right? Or not even a combative attitude. No, I'm sorry. If you develop a combative, let's say, man, this may be a three-part. If you develop a combative urgency, right? A combative sense about you. People say, what about Javon? And they realize that you're just fighting with everybody, that you're not getting along with anybody. Yeah, you have a higher chance of looking at the front door. So I wanted to really break this down, right? So this first part about management is going to be about the social aspect. You have to, as much as you can, get along with others. Now, you're not going to always get along, and that's just how it is. it's not going to always be that your staff likes you. Most of the time they probably won't, because you're there to give them orders, and a lot of people have trouble with that. It may not always be that you're going to get along with other stakeholders, with other higher ups within your organization. That's a strong possibility as well. But you got to get along with your bosses, right? There should not be that your bosses just have this overall feeling that you're fighting with everybody, right? Your job is contingent upon a mixture of those three. So understand that as you go forward into leadership, should you so choose, that your job really depends on some mixture of those three, the highest percentage being how your bosses feel about you and your leadership within the organization. Again, so this has been really, the first part is going to focus, like I said, just on the social. There is an incredibly social aspect to leadership that a lot of people don't really understand. Going to meetings, being on lots of phone calls, doing video calls, doing presentations. Expect as leadership that you are going to be social. If you have a social phobia, man, you may either have to overcome that or just don't do it. Because yes, management is social. A lot of my time as a director, as a manager previously, was just spent going, door to door, face to face, like cold calling, knocking on doors, introducing myself, building those bonds, building those relationships with others. And what you find is that when you build those relationships, those people will not only invest in you, they're going to work with you, but also they will speak to your overall quality at the organization. If you have 10 people that say that you're a jerk, well, that's just 10 people. But if you got 20, you know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? If you don't get what I'm saying, I'll summarize it real quick before I go. Try to keep these really short, right? Because there's gonna be like 3 of these. You want to make sure that not everybody hates you. It's pretty simple, because like I said, management is social. All right, guys, that was the first part of leadership in management. Again, I'm a professor. I enjoy you guys watching it just as much as I hope that you enjoy watching it. Have a good one.
Intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character. That is the true goal of education.